Facebook page, you'll get a lot of the evidence and everything as well. So this is Jennifer Moles, the abuser. Now, there's a lot of morons out there that, oh, she's our bestie because, they're frickin' garbage cans themselves. So, garbage hangs out with garbage. There's a lot of people out there that like to believe her narrative. But I'm going to point out a very common sense fact. Her narrative states that her ex, as she says, put his hands on her. Well, anybody with even 2% of brain use would understand and would know if a man put his hands on a female, especially in a domestic dispute situation, who's the one getting arrested? Who's the one going to jail? Even if the man doesn't and she feels negative, who's the one that gets arrested? Who's the one that makes the cops make leave the house? The man, every time. So there's her police report. If he was the aggressor, why was she the one that was arrested and removed from the home? Why was she the one charged for domestic assault? Right? And then this is abuse that she still puts on the children. And then this is a video I made.
And I get shoved to the side every time in court. I get yelled at. I get threatened to throw.
Start.
All right.
Do you see the bruises on her children's ear? Because she likes to grab her children and tug them around by the ears.
That the information I am going to be providing.
But Elizabeth Katsubik from Children's Aid in Woodstock, Ontario says that's fine.
It's all part of the
So listen to this video.
Information Act. This is all documents. This is all police reports, all Children's Aid reports. This is all evidence proving and showing our abuser's serial abuse, not just with me, but with her previous relationships as well. That the judge refuses to look at any of this evidence. And I haven't seen my daughter since October of 2024 because,
which it turned out that while she was seeing this man, and got pregnant, she was sleeping with so many people, so many multiple men, that her twin daughters both have different daddies. They're not even his children. He had the DNA proof, which is why she cannot get child support, and which is why her and Children's Aid all of a sudden decided to close everything down in the court files that they had. They were wanting all this money, court costs, and all this. And when they found out that he's not even the father to these two girls that he was told that he was fighting for, not only is he not the father, but she's such a piece of garbage that both her kids have different daddies. So she slept with multiple men in such a short period of time and getting pregnant with them that they both have a different father. They do not share the same male gene DNA. How sad and pathetic is that? That's garbage. Anyway.
States in this evidence, we'll go over things. It states in there that Children's Aid don't think I'm a good parent because I've threatened Children's Aid with a lawsuit because their illegal actions, Miss Elizabeth Katsubik, her illegal false allegations, her illegal illegal actions, her illegal perjuries to the court, that I have evidence in here and video recordings to discredit everything she said. I've requested from the judge to look at this stuff because it discredits everything and it shows 100%, 99% of what Elizabeth Katsubik from Children's Aid in Woodstock has said is a lie and exaggerated and far from the truth. But Judge Paul, the unhonorable Judge Paul, tells me, no, he's not going to look at it. I need to get a lawyer. And I get shoved to the side every time in court. I get yelled at. I get threatened to be thrown in contempt because I asked the judge to do his job, to protect my children. And since he has put the care of my innocent daughters, who are victims to our abuser as well, in our abuser's primary care, you get things like this. And the police found it suspicious enough that and again, there's reports all in here, police reports are in here. Police found it suspicious enough they opened up an investigation until they talked to Elizabeth Katsubik. Now, Elizabeth Katsubik is a friend of my abuser, so she's been wiping things for the past year and some underneath the carpet and turning everything around to make our abuser seem like she's this angel to the world when she's not. My abuser, our abuser, her other two sons, her oldest son lived around the corner from his dad for 10 years and didn't even know who his dad was. He's never met his dad. He had a half-brother in his classroom and his mother would never tell him, but his mother would take monthly payments for child support for 10 years from this man, still takes child support from him, and he has not once seen his son, and it's been like 10 years. Her other son, her other youngest son, she has used him as a tool to control and abuse his father. She's had domestics with his father, and again, that's in here too. Domestics with his her youngest son's father, and drug use and so forth. And Children's Aid investigations before even my time with her, before, me and my children with her. Her and her other kids and her other spouses, there's been domestics, there's been a lot of abuse from her end. And she uses the children as tools. Her son and her youngest son and his father have been to Children's Aid because her son states to even his teachers at school he was afraid to go home. Again, those are in here. It's all reported. It's all documented. That her youngest son was afraid to go home, and that was May 15th of 2023, I believe. And her youngest son was afraid to go home because of all the abuse and constantly being hit in the head and so forth from his mother. I've watched his mother, my abuser, full out close-handed punch these innocent children. She's abused and injured my son from another relationship. If it wasn't for me, who knows, during her attack on me, my daughters could have died. If I was not able to dome over them, and if I was not able to keep taking the punches from her and the attack from her, my daughters could have died. But yet, because I say I'm going to sue CAS for their false stuff, because since they've been in our abuser's care, they've been hospitalized and they've been neglected and abused and bruises, and everything's being swept under the rug by Elizabeth Katsubik. Now, when all this happened, the Children's Aid closed their file on me with primary care of my daughters in my care, and Mary Sue Bernard at Woodstock Children's Aid, which is the supervisor, came into my front door, into my living room, sat on my living room floor with Melissa Griffin and another student, and told me my file was closed because, again, statements are in here as well, with them stating to the police, Mary Sue Bernard stating to the police, there was no concerns of the daughters at my primary care. And our abuser was going through supervised visits at the Children's Aid office at the time. And there was no concerns for my daughters at my care because it never has been. My children are my number one. They've always been cared for, 100%. And above and beyond. Their milestones were above and beyond while in my care. Since they've been in our abuser's care, they've been hospitalized with low iron down to 46. They've been on breathing tubes. They've been on feeding tubes. They've had collapsed lungs. And the judge, because I'm born the wrong gender, is enabling this by allowing it and putting them in in her care. When I have all these reports, again, Freedom of Information Act, stating all her abuse, and not even just abuse to children, but abuse to men, abuse to the elderly. There's reports in here of her attacking her youngest son's grandma right in front of him. You know, police were involved. Choked her out, slammed her to the ground, told her she was going to kill her and so forth, while her 4-year-old son is screaming, Mommy, Mommy, stop hurting my grandma. You scare me, Mommy, you're hurting my grandma. She has no remorse or regard for who's in her path or who's around her when she snaps out. She doesn't care. But yet this is okay. Is it going to take my daughters, like other innocent children, to die? Other innocent children have died because of wrongful situations like this and being put in the wrong parents' care. So again, anyway, what we're going to be going over and the release of the public freedom of information. When male abusers get released, or male child offenders, or pedophiles or sex offender, any of those get released, they have to release their names and their situations and their charges to the public. Women should be treated just as equally. If a man did 1 page of these, his life would be over. Why is she allowed to? Because she was born a female. Why is she allowed to and enabled to continually, for years, this shows years of her abuse. And yet there's no support system for men, for us men that have gone through this. And then we get looked at like we're monsters or we're the bad guy, because this changes a man. When a man has to go through something, you think it's easy enough for a man to stand up against a female in this kind of situation and be ridiculed, discriminated, put down, called less of a man because he's standing up? Something's got to be done. This isn't right. My children, anybody's children, and innocent fathers don't deserve this crap.
And again, if the man was the violent one,
Paul tells me no, he's not going to look at it. I need to get a lawyer.
And then this is her trying to fight her neighbor with the daughters right on here and the other one coming up. Trying to fight her neighbors like the little crackhead she is. Such abusers, and her neighbor's an older lady. And then look, watch her drag the little toddler, not even 3 years old. Watch her, she's dragging her around. You hear her screaming, crying. What a pathetic mother. So again, believe whatever narrative you want from a female abuser, especially you morons out there like Matthew Kyle, Derek Ennis, Jeffy, Kevin, little Mr. Timothy, You guys can believe her fake little narrative all you want, but the truth will be coming out. The public's going to know everything, and all of your guys' names will be involved too, because you're all part of the abuse and the enabling and the allowance and what you've done. Like, what kind of grandfather in front of his granddaughters at a year old tries to pick a fight? What kind of moron does that? What kind of man like Matthew Kyle goes around saying he'll attempt a home invasion on a house even if there's children there? These are pathetic little individuals, all friends of the abuser Jennifer Moles. The public's gonna know everything, and the public's gonna know the truth. If a man did what she's claiming that her daughter's father did, or any of her exes did, they would have been the ones arrested, not her. So why was she arrested? take your fucking brain out of the Ziploc bag and use your common sense, people. If the kids were left with it, especially in today's days when everybody in the society is quick to throw the man out and throw the man into the ground. In today's days, when the man is the one that's not charged and left with the children, and the female's the one charged, 2% of brain power tells you she's the problem, not him, not the children. And it's just sad that the children have to suffer with just such garbage parenting.